back. So today's going to be a short video, but this is just something we wanted to mention. So yesterday we had one of the most extreme weather events ever, in a bad way. So yesterday morning I woke up and it was around 8 Celsius, pouring rain and thunderstorms, which we've never seen here in the winter. And then throughout the day it just got colder and colder. We ended up with snow. It got really windy and ended up at around -18 during the night. So that's a really big drop to have in 5 or 6 hours. As you can see, the horses are all doing great. We don't have a barn, so we had to, luckily we have lots of bush that we were able to feed them in so that we could keep them out of the weather. Just so that, because as you can imagine, if you get really, really wet and then really, really cold, that is not good for you. And with them, it's not good either. So Wednesday is when this happened. So Tuesday night, we made sure to feed them in the trees so that they were hidden Wednesday morning when the rain started. But of course, Wednesday morning, I wake up and look out my window, and all 8 of them are standing out in the open in the rain. I was just, I couldn't believe what I was seeing there. So because we knew they were gonna get wet, we got a little bit worried about them. And so we checked on them multiple times yesterday. They all were doing fine. The outer layer of our coat was wet, but underneath was nice and dry and warm. If I thought of it yesterday, I could have gotten a short video, but I didn't, and now it's too late because they're all pretty much dry. Yeah, they're all dry, so it's hard to tell. They do have some frozen snow on them. Well, the 3 Belgians and Jenny are gray over there have it, but our 4 blacks, because they're black and the sun's out, they have no more snow on them, and they're perfectly dry. And so I mentioned we don't have a barn, but if we did have one, the horses would have been in Tuesday night to keep them out of the rain coming into Wednesday. And so now I'm going to have my dad say a little bit more about that.
Hi everyone. Yeah, so as Alexa said, and we've mentioned it in other videos when people ask, we don't have a barn. And I have said barns are for people, and I stand by that. And that doesn't make it a bad thing. And I've said that before too. And I can tell you unequivocally that if we had the resources or the facilities here, we would take advantage of that for our own convenience and for the convenience of the horses. That said, scenarios like yesterday, that was a sort of, that's never happened before, but there are other times where perhaps we'd be able to work them, or at the very least have an easier time getting them ready without having to do a lot of extra grooming and stuff like that when, you know, they have a little bit of ice or snow on their backs and things like that. But you know, without getting too much into my own background, which involved working as a lender for several decades, there's absolutely no way I can financially justify the incredible expenses into the multiple thousands or multiple tens of thousands or even multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars that it costs nowadays to put up a barn. And you know, in our particular environment also, we're subject, when I say environment, I would say regulatory, where we're located. We are subject to an enormous amount of policies and laws and procedures when it comes to putting up shelters for animals that just adds to the cost and inconvenience of doing something like that. And so this will probably be the last time that we kind of address this in video. And at the same time, you know, sometimes miracles happen, and if something very fortunate happens to us from that perspective, then there may be videos in the future that are detailing our barn build. But as it stands, the point of this video is simply to reiterate very strongly, they don't need a barn. Whether it's them, I'm talking about animals. It is not required. And they're built to withstand these types of weather events, provided they have access to get out of the wind and get out of the moisture as much as possible. As Alexa said earlier, we didn't really see that. I myself was shocked. I was up well before the sun yesterday, and fingers crossed that the horses were going to be in there. And as the sun started to rise, I noticed that and thought the same thing. You know, one of those you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink situations. So you can provide all the shelter you want, but you can't really force them to use it unless you're going to tie them up in there. And we certainly weren't about to do that. Just wanted to touch on, we do use blankets occasionally as well. Unfortunately, it was really just the timing and the change of the weather. We would have had to, you know, switch blankets around, which is fine. At the same time, it's a catch-22 for us because their paddock where they are and where they seek shelter and everything is just full of trees. And anybody else who's had horses, blankets, and trees, well, that doesn't mix. So that likely would have just caused a lot more problems with us or for us. And I think one thing that maybe we haven't done is fully explain how their coats are meant to work. So I won't go as far as saying they're double coated like some animals and certainly breeds of dogs are, but it's very close to that. So this outer hair, for lack of a better word, or outer fur, is effectively waterproof, and it does an amazing job both of shedding moisture to the air while also, you know, you can sort of see Mable right now. It's cold out right now, standing up on end to capture any sort of heat and what have you. When that becomes matted down and wet, you can, if you just turn to Sally, you can kind of see it on her back and side, what I'm talking about. It can lose those abilities to both provide insulation and that moisture wicking capability. When you go underneath here, it's almost as warm as sticking your hand under their mane, and it's very warm in here compared to that. So with our wind chills and stuff today, it's probably around -25 right now, and I mean, even just here I have no issue with a bare hand. It doesn't feel cold, it actually feels warm in here. And the same goes for going down in underneath this first layer. So it's kind of hard to see the kind of fur that's in there, but as part of our checking yesterday, we checked everybody. I was sticking my hands in their armpits, for lack of a better word. Nobody was shivering, everybody was warm, and they seemed otherwise, you know, happy with the situation yesterday. It was kind of funny when we went out, we just drove our pickup truck out into the pasture to bring them their hay.
They came running every time.
They came running every time, which was fun. But they didn't last very long if we didn't get busy, because it was so windy, and they all simply turned and walked back into the shelter to get themselves out of the wind. They're not stupid. Why they were out in the rain yesterday, well, how are they supposed to know it was going to drop by, you know, 25 degrees or, you know, up to 50, 60 degrees Fahrenheit in a matter of hours? Just unprecedented, but again, they took to it like champs. On a side note, everybody else here is okay too. Our two bulls are right beside them, and I took a quick look at them this morning. Nice layer of snow on their backs as per usual when we see weather like that, and they're nice and fat. Why are they nice and fat? We gave them twice as much hay as we normally would. Same goes for the horses. So we normally shoot for about a bale a day, a small square bale a day. So that would be 8, and we provided them with 16 yesterday. My guess there's 2 left or so, if that, which is perfect. You want to see some left, and their digestive process creates an enormous amount of heat as well internally, and that also keeps them warm. And so sum things up, we just experienced one of the most radical weather events I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it, and I've spent the vast majority of my life in the region that we live. And while we're used to extremes on longer term basis, we've had more extreme shifts over a week than we saw yesterday, but nothing so extreme and so quick has ever happened in my lifetime anyways. And nobody's the worse for wear. And that's it. And I guess if it's something you feel really strongly about, it's fine. You know, we're open to comments like that, and sort of suggestions about what we should or shouldn't do. Just keep in mind though, if you feel really strongly about us having a barn, you're welcome to get in touch with us, and we'll let you know where you can send some money. Anyway, have some fun, folks. Have a great day. We aren't going to work the horses today. We figured they had enough of a workout just to stay, you know, warm and healthy last night. And it's below our own sort of temperature, even though it's very sunny out. But temperature just for our own comfort to get them harnessed and hooked up and working with them. So we're going to give them the day off again today. Obviously they were off yesterday. And again, you know, normally our videos are a bit longer than this, as Alexa mentioned, and we do have a couple that are just in the final stages of editing.
Which are going to be a little longer.
Yep, they're going to be quite a bit longer than even our usual videos, and we'll get them out to you as soon as possible. Hopefully even this weekend. All right, have a nice day.
Bye, everyone.